Oh hi guys, Hatsune Miku here, star from Vocaloid in Japan. Now, I am absolutely honoured and delighted and thrilled to be guest hosting this week's episode for Jim Sterling, who can't be here this week. He's actually travelling right now. He's on his way back from GamerX, where I'm sure he had a lovely time. But I'm here filling in, taking some time out of my new tour, which I hope you all come to. It's available in some cities at some dates. I'm Hatsune Miku. Anyway, before he left, Jim prepared this episode for you, so I hope you enjoy it, and have a really nice day, sir. Thank you very much. I'm Hatsune Miku. So is Square Enix ashamed of the active time battle system? This much seems to be evidenced by its almost obsessive push to reinvent the wheel every time it releases a Final Fantasy game. The ATB system hasn't been good enough for Square since, well, blimey, not since maybe Final Fantasy IX, I don't think, when it had its last real gasp. Since then, Square Enix has moved away from anything resembling turn-based combat steadily over the years, actionising what it can out of a seeming pressure to appear modern. Some members of the game's media have applauded this. Indeed, you won't find a shortage of pundits who will call turn-based JRPG combat archaic and old-fashioned. Indeed, when the brilliant Lost Odyssey came out last generation, one of the common complaints about the game from reviewers was that its turn-based battles were aged and decrepit, despite it actually being a really good turn-based battle system in a damn fine game. I've been curious though. It's clear that traditional Japanese RPG combat is receding into the shadows, but I have to wonder if there's any actual market changes to back that up, or if it's just yet another thing the industry collectively decided was shitty and unwanted by the general public of its own accord. With Final Fantasy VII Remake revealing that it too would be looking a lot more like Crisis Core than its actual roots, I'm wondering it more than ever. It's not hard to doubt the legitimacy of the belief. This is, after all, the same industry that repeatedly tells us single-player games are a dying relic, despite successful games like Bioshock, Dishonored, and Until Dawn proving otherwise time and time again. The same industry that just collectively decided one day that survival horror games were a thing of the past without any evidence, leaving indie titles like Amnesia and Outlast to fill a clearly large gap in the market. This is the same AAA industry that focus tests its games with small groups of 12-year-old boys and bases its decisions off that instead of real opinion, leading to a game like Fuse turning from this fun thing into this po-faced miserable train wreck. Given the big budget game world's track record, I'm a little cynical about the idea that Final Fantasy VII actually needs modernising to this degree. I mean, first of all, it's fucking Final Fantasy VII. The idea it wouldn't sell millions and millions even if it was just a shot-for-shot replica with prettier graphics is the finalist of fantasies. Second of all, despite all the bollocks that some pundits chat about how badly Final Fantasy VII has aged and it's just nostalgia making us think it's good, I love you Steve Burns, but you're talking pish on this one. Final Fantasy VII has held up well, and no amount of people using the word overrated is going to change that. Is it the best Final Fantasy game? No, because it's not Final Fantasy IX. But as someone who is replaying the original version of 7 right now, I'd say the active time battle system is far more timeless than people give it credit for. It's been part of excellently classic games that people still jizz over to this day for a reason, and it's not because it's shit. After the initial excitement for the Final Fantasy VII Remake died down, I warned people not to be too overhyped for it, because we have to remember that it's the Square Enix of 2015 that's making it, and the Square Enix of 2033 that will release it. Basically the modern shitty Square Enix. The Square Enix that I revealed years ago has board meetings to discuss ways of cutting up games and selling them in pieces. The remake will sell in 3 parts. The Square Enix that releases exploitative garbage like Final Fantasy All the Bravest is the one behind this. The Square Enix that, most importantly, doesn't even understand its own market. How little does Square Enix understand its own market? Well, its publicised total surprise that the 3DS RPG Bravely Default actually sold well indicates quite a lack of connection. The company was fucking shocked that the type of game it built its fortune and reputation on actually performed fucking well with its audience. A game that, I might add, has a turn-based battle system despite being critically well received and commercially successful. And this further compounds my doubt that the market actually influenced this idea that turn-based and active time combat systems are unwanted by the public. As with all the other things that large public publishers decide aren't en vogue anymore. Evidence to the contrary can be found without even looking too hard. We've got the fact that Pokemon, almost approaching its 20th anniversary, is still a massive multi-million-dollar franchise that sells tons of copies of its traditional RPG experience featuring turn-based combat. Oh, and there's that sequel, that turn-based strategy game that sold well enough to get a sequel, despite its publishers initially claiming turn-based strategies were over. X something. Alright, yeah, XCOM. Square Enix itself has the proof in Bravely Default, yet it hasn't learned a damn thing. It's still desperate to fix what ain't broke, and keeps its Final Fantasy games as far away from their combat roots as possible, all without any proof that this is definitely what the audience prefers. Active time battle systems and turn-based combat are fine. They're still fine, and I will never for the life of me understand why they've been singled out as archaic and needing to go. Like, I've never heard why it needs to be phased out by these critics, only that it does, and I don't fucking get it. I replay older Final Fantasy games all the time, and they're still fun, and turn-based combat across a variety of genres still has its own tactical flavour. If anything, now that so many fucking games have actionized and treated turn-based battling like a leper, it feels fresher than ever. Kind of like how World War II games have started to feel after everything desperately went all modern warfare. Hell, can someone even tell me what's more fucking modern about third-person combat than turn-based combat? They've both been around since for fucking ever, and they both seem perfectly evolved to evoke a certain style and atmosphere of gameplay. Why is one inherently more modern than the other? As far as I can tell, the answers all lead to because we said so. So it is that publishers are convinced that games with such systems belong only on portable devices, where they ignore how well they're capable of selling. As for Final Fantasy VII Remake, well, I can only wish it the best, but I won't hold my breath, not with modern Square Enix at the wheel. I want it to be great. I hope it's great, and the fact it's resorting to an actionized quote-unquote modern combat system isn't a complete deal-breaker for me. I just think it's interesting and telling that even in a post-Bravely Default world, the company can't stop tinkering, can't stop self-consciously trying to be hip and modern, still can't stop being ashamed of the gameplay that formed the core of its most famous game of all time. And all because the industry just up and decided something was true one day, just because they said so. You know, a lot of people often say to me, Hatsune Miku, who you are, do you let the fame ever get to your head? And I say, I'm a hologram, you know? I don't have a head. I can't interact with the world. Nothing can physically or indeed emotionally affect me. I mean, I pass straight through all this, you know, because I'm just composed of light, is the thing. So no, I've never let the fame get to me. I always try and maintain an air of humility. I always try and stay grounded, even though I am not real and I am made out of light and I'm a hologram, which brings its own set of problems, you know. But you just try and get through it day after day, you know. I'm just grateful for all the love and support that my fans have for me, and I just work it out from there. So no, if that answers your question, no, I am, you know, I don't see myself as famous, you know, I see myself as Miku, because that's who I am. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the episode this week. You know, Jim is gutted he can't be here with you, but hopefully I did a good job of filling in for him. And he'll be here next time. He'll see you next time. So all that remains to be said is thank God for me. Coo. Note to self, when you've got 3D printed Abe statues that are securely fastened by their base to your lectern so they don't fall off, don't sweep your hand across for a joke, because you might break it. So that's upsetting. You know, Jim's going to be very upset by that when he finds out what I, Hatsune Miku, have done. He's going to be really quite gutted. He's going to be very disappointed. That's a shame for him.